Welcome to Rainbow Rundown, where we cover entertainment and news stories from across the LGBT community. Mondays here on the Left of Str8 Network. Enjoy the show.
2 librarians were fired after the board mistook an autism symbol for a pride display. They're now suing. The display featured 2 rainbow images that were actually about disabilities. The library's board fired library director Carrie Wheeler and assistant librarian Brandy Lancaster on July 5 after library employee Ruth Splitter complained to the board about the display. Lancaster created the display as part of a national summer reading program with the theme of All Together Now. On June 22, Splitter, a temporary summer library employee, complained about the display to Lancaster, saying she found the gay pride symbol offensive and going into an anti-LGBT diatribe, even though Lancaster explained that the infinity symbol represented neurodiversity and autism. The display featured a rainbow infinity symbol, a logo often used by neurodivergent and autism rights advocates, along with a heart and the words, "We all think differently." The display also featured a rainbow image of a child in a wheelchair and a quote from Black writer Maya Angelou that said, "In diversity there is beauty and strength." Splitter then complained about the display to Michelle Miller, vice chair of the library board. Miller reportedly told Lancaster that she could get her fellow board members to have Lancaster take down the display. "I am totally fine with diversity of skin color display, just not represented with rainbow colors," Miller texted Wheeler, the director, according to the lawsuit. "I do not want any kind of rainbow display, especially in this month. We have a conservative town and as a library do not need to make political statements, see Target and Bud Light as negative examples. I certainly do not want the library to promote LGBTQ agendas." Wheeler removed the display, thinking its removal would just be temporary until the board advised her on how to change it. Instead, 2 weeks later, the board decided that it had lost confidence in Wheeler and Lancaster and voted to fire them. Now, Wheeler and Lancaster, who are both neurodivergent, and 2 other library patrons are suing the Sterling Free Public Library, the library's board, the city, and its mayor for allegedly violating their constitutional rights to free speech, due process, and equal protection, and for violating the Kansas Open Records Act, a law that allows the public to view and copy records maintained by public entities. The lawsuit seeks the former employees' lost and future wages, compensatory damages, and an unspecified injunctive relief.
The man who was with anti-LGBTQ Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert when they were kicked out of a performance of the musical Beetlejuice reportedly co-owns a Colorado bar that has hosted LGBTQ events, including a drag show. On Sunday night, Boebert and a male companion were escorted by security out of the city-owned Buell Theater in Denver after the venue staff received multiple complaints that the couple was vaping, singing loudly, recording the show, and causing a disturbance. According to the Daily Mail, 46-year-old Quinn Gallagher co-owns Hooch Craft Cocktail Bar in Aspen, which has hosted multiple LGBTQ events. The bar hosted a Winter Wonderland burlesque and drag show in January, as well as multiple events for Aspen Gay Ski Week over the years. Boebert, meanwhile, has a well-documented history of vilifying the LGBTQ community under the guise of protecting children from sexualization and grooming. "I've criticized men dressing up as caricatures of women," she said in a 2022 interview defending her anti-LGBTQ rhetoric after the mass shooting at Colorado Springs gay club, Club Q. In June of last year, Boebert tweeted, "Take your children to church, not drag bars." The following August, she posted another tweet opposing a Drag Queen Story Hour event at a local library. "Sending a message to all the drag queens out there, stay away from the children in Colorado's 3rd District," she wrote. Representative Boebert has issued an apology after video emerged of her vaping and taking photographs during a musical performance of Beetlejuice at a Colorado theater on Sunday, before she was asked to leave. In a statement, the House Republican said she fell short of my values and genuinely did not recall vaping that evening, adding, "That's unacceptable, and I'm sorry." The CCTV footage, recorded at the Buell Theater in Denver, also appears to show Boebert being groped by a male companion and groping him in return, though this wasn't referenced explicitly in her apology.
Olivia Hill was not your typical candidate for city council in Nashville, Tennessee. A Navy veteran, she is the senior supervisor of the Vanderbilt University power plant, overseeing a 24/7 operation with a budget of over $100 million. Obviously qualified, there was only one thing that could potentially hold her back. In a state known for persecuting the LGBTQ community, Hill is a transgender woman. Voters in the area, however, didn't let the wave of hostility, led by Republican state legislators, challenge their respect for her qualifications and abilities. They voted her into an at-large position on the council. She is the first LGBTQ person to be elected in a county-wide race. She's also the first transgender person to run for public office in the state. My expertise is fixing things, and while my focus is repairing Nashville's outdated infrastructure, I also want to ensure that our city is represented with true diversity in a state where the ruling party thinks I should head to the closet, she said. I am hopeful that I can help those who don't appreciate me and my LGBTQ siblings learn that we have so much to offer and to stop tearing us down. Hill served in the Navy Engineering Division for a decade, seeing combat in Desert Storm. While in service, she gained expertise in electrical engineering, a skill set she used to rise to her position at the power plant. She has emerged as a community leader, educating the public about difficulties faced by women and the LGBTQ community. She focused her campaign on repairing the city's overburdened.
Bans on gender-affirming care are just the tip of the iceberg that is a coordinated effort to eliminate LGBTQ people of all ages from public life, according to a new report by the Movement Advancement Project, or MAP, an organization that tracks policies on LGBTQ issues and voting. The MAP's 5-part report on the national trend, entitled Under Fire, notes that states are restricting access to gender-affirming care for transgender youth and adults, passing religious exemptions to deny medical care for LGBTQ people, increasing the difficulty of obtaining accurate identity documents listing trans people's correct gender identity, censoring coverage of LGBTQ issues in schools, and increasing the targeted harassment and violence of queer people, all while eroding voting rights. The number of anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in just the first 2 months of 2023 is more than the anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in all of 2012, 2013, and 2014 combined, the MAP wrote. At the same time, concerted efforts are underway to reshape access to the ballot and undermine democracy. In 2023, at least 380 bills have been introduced in state legislatures that would restrict voting and undermine democracy, the group added. Overall, MAP found that states with the highest rankings for LGBTQ equality also have the highest rankings for democracy and voting rights. Similarly, most states that score poorly for LGBTQ equality also score lower on democracy and voting rights. All of these efforts are also being supported by a rise of anti-LGBTQ rhetoric as well as violence and death threats targeting LGBTQ people and their allies. The MAP hasn't yet released a comprehensive plan to combat this multi-layered threat, but the organization believes raising awareness of the trend is an important step towards combating it.
In its About Time news, a jury awards $100,000 to Kentucky gay couple denied a marriage license. The couple sued former county clerk Kim Davis, who was briefly jailed in 2015 over her refusal to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Davis, the former Rowan County clerk, drew international attention when she was briefly jailed in 2015 over her refusal, which she based on her belief that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. A jury in Ashland, Kentucky, awarded David Ermold and David Moore each $50,000 after deliberating on Wednesday, according to lawyers for Davis. A second couple who sued, James Yates and Will Smith, were awarded no damages on Wednesday by U.S. District Judge David Bunning. Bunning sent Davis to jail for 5 days in 2015 after holding her in contempt of court. She was released only after her staff issued the licenses on her behalf but removed her name from the form. Kentucky's state legislature later enacted a law removing the names of all county clerks from state marriage licenses. Bunning ruled last year that Davis violated the constitutional rights of the two couples. The trials held this week were held to decide damages against Davis. The former clerk had argued that a legal doctrine called qualified immunity protected her from being sued for damages by the couples. Matt Staver, founder of the Liberty Counsel, which represented Davis in the case, said in a release Wednesday they look forward to appealing this decision and taking this case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal from Davis's lawyers in the case in 2020.
A new poll shows how there are way more gays endorsing open relationships than straight people. A new Pew survey about Americans' views on open marriages shows 33% of adults find the concept to be acceptable. As one would expect, age is a good quantifier when it comes to surmising how somebody may feel about the idea. More than half of adults aged 18 to 29, 51%, endorse open marriages, while just 26% of 50 to 64-year-olds are on board with the concept. For those over 65, support falls to 15%. But that's nothing compared to the poll representing LGBTQ folks. An overwhelming 75% of gay and bisexual people say it's appropriate for adults to have an open marriage, compared to 29% of straight people. It's long been established that significant chunks of gays engage in open relationships. A 2021 study found that 30% of gay men are in polyamorous setups, and that number is even lower than previously believed. A 2010 study conducted by San Francisco State University showed half of gay men weren't in monogamous relationships. There are a myriad of reasons why gays are drawn to non-traditional romantic setups. For starters, we get to write our own rules. We were left out of the 1950 nuclear family ideal. We're making things up as we go. Aside from sheer fun and horniness, there are also practical reasons why couples may decide to open things up. One particularly illuminating Reddit thread contains many explanations, ranging from physical to emotional. For some, it simply comes down to sexual preferences. For others, open relationships represent the complexity of relationships themselves. Different people can fill different needs. With all of these complications, the most successful open relationships may be between mature partners who've experienced the ups and downs of life together. The most successful open relationships I've seen are not the young, new, volatile couples still working through their trauma. It's the older dudes who have been through thick and thin together and worked through their shit, said one Reddit user.
Drew Barrymore announced on Sunday that she will pause the premiere of her talk show after receiving backlash over her decision to resume production as more than 11,000 television and film writers remain on strike. "I have listened to everyone, and I am making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over," Barrymore wrote in a statement posted to her verified Instagram page Sunday morning. "I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I have hurt and, of course, to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today. We really tried to find our way forward. And I truly hope for a resolution for the entire industry very soon," she wrote. Barrymore's statement comes after a turbulent week for the actress and TV host, who faced criticism from the Writers Guild of America, WGA, after defending her decision to resume production without WGA writers amidst the ongoing dual strikes in Hollywood. In a statement shared on Instagram earlier this month, Barrymore explained her position about bringing her show back. She referenced why she had previously chosen to walk away from hosting the MTV Movie and TV Awards in May, saying, "It had direct conflict with what the strike was dealing with, which was studios, streamers, film, and television. A spokesperson for CBS, the home network of The Drew Barrymore Show, told CNN in a statement on Sunday, "We support Drew's decision to pause the show's return and understand how complex and difficult this process has been for her." Other daytime talk shows airing new episodes include The View, Tamron Hall, and Live with Kelly and Mark, but CBS daytime talk show The Talk has also paused its return, another CBS spokesperson said in a statement Sunday.
Thanks for listening to The Left of Str8 Show. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast distributor, and please give us a 5-star rating so more listeners can find us. You can follow us on social media, and be sure to check out our website, www.leftofstraightradio.com, for contests and other news and information. See you next week.